This is Speaking of Sports, a weekly podcast where we give you our take on sports' biggest stories and news. I'm your host, Ray Didinger, along with Coach Al Harris, Chad the Whiz Kid Grimley, and the Godfather, Chuck Grimley. Speaking of Sports is sponsored by Grimley Financial and produced by WildfirePodcast.com.
Hello, everybody. We are back. Well, most of us are. It's the WizKids Chad here. I'll be hosting today's show along with Coach Al and the Godfather Chuck. Well, that's at least what Ray calls him. Ray couldn't be here today, unfortunately, guys. What's
up with Ray? Snorkel truck?
I think he's snorkeling today or something like that. But
Ray bought a snorkel truck. I don't even know that such a thing exists. Is that really a snorkel?
I think there's a feature where you can drive the car in like water and it can breathe through the top because of the snorkel. So there is something to it. Yeah, there is something to it.
So he's got this big black stack going up off his truck. I thought it was an exhaust.
No, it's an actual like snorkel, so the car can like breathe and get the air out of the motor or engine or something like that.
No, wait a minute. You're not telling me that the truck's designed to go underwater as long as this.
I mean, not fully underwater, but more than the average car because of that. Look, someone who knows cars, shoot us an email and let me know because that's not my thing.
What about the engine and all that? Like Chad knows a lot about engines.
That's why it has the snorkel.
A little more than me.
That's why it has the snorkel.
Yeah, let's be clear out there, fans, that between the three of us, our collective knowledge on engines and fixes. Do you own a drill?
A screwdriver?
Al, drill?
Yeah, I have. I don't use it too often, but I have.
Do you know how to use a Black & Decker drill?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Then why the heck don't you come over to my house when I need stuff drilled?
Because I didn't do much stuff done on my house to worry about your house.
You were a pitcher. I saw you get drilled. You get it not too often. I have 4 drills. Fess up, be transparent. Don't know how to use one of them, but luckily I don't know where the cases are. You know, they're gifts. Christmas time. Somebody says, I know the guy that did it, and I never found him yet. Let's let rock on here, bud.
Let's start. So we're going to be starting with the Philly 5 today. Per usual, we're going to hit on the major Philly sports action going on right now. So let's start with the Eagles. So let me start here. Something that I didn't really hear a lot in the media this week. I was surprised to actually research this. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is. The NFL announced in December this international home marketing areas. It's a new initiative granting teams access to these international territories for marketing, global brands, stuff like that. Fast forward to Tuesday, the NFL announces that the Eagles can begin launching their global brand initiative in Australia, Ghana, and New Zealand, making the Eagles the first team granted access to Africa.
Because they need to get bigger. The NFL, their products and everything they do.
Well, they're really trying to grow the international brand here. Right. I mean, and Jeffrey Lurie's comments were all over it. He said the Eagles organization, we're privileged, we're honored to have one of the most passionate fan bases. We're looking for opportunities to connect new fans. Great. You know, with the NFL identifying Australia, New Zealand, and Ghana as emerging markets, we see a tremendous opportunity. Look, it's a slam dunk by the Eagles here being the first team in Africa doing this. So really,
I know the CEO of Judge Corporation, Marty Judge. I believe he's been over in Japan for years trying to organize a league and coordinate that whole thing. And I think it's like 10 years old, that initiative. But yeah. This is the next outreach. This is a sort of a natural thing, and just imagine how big it's going. How many more billions it's going to add in revenues, and not to mention opportunity.
Exactly.
When will we see our first foreign player, the elk of? What can you imagine?
Well, if you want to compare to basketball, I mean, we sent the coaches over there years ago to teach them this game, and now you look through the rosters of NBA teams. There's a lot of great players.
It's a good fit for the Eagles here too, because we already have ties with Australia and New Zealand.
Kickers,
with a couple of natives.
Yeah.
Well, just even Jordan Mailata,
right?
For example, and there's a couple more like Matt Leo on the team as well. I think there's like three players or so, but really just kind of interesting news that I didn't really hear a lot about this week, and what was otherwise a relatively quiet week for the Eagles as we get going here.
I don't know about quiet, Wiz. There's an awful lot of talk about certainly the Eagles winning the division. Now people are talking about advancing. It seems like what they're saying or what the collective thought process is that the Eagles are ready to go deep if the quarterback progresses, that everything else is there. Al?
Well, I heard Chris Sims, who unfortunately didn't have the talent his father had, declare that he, in his poll or in his mind, whatever, that Hurts was the 25th ranked starting quarterback in the league.
That's troubling to me.
Very troubling.
I don't believe it, first of all.
No, I don't either.
But
and here's the thing, too. They've surrounded him now with a lot more things. So you got to give this young man to see what he does with the extra receivers and the D-backs and the defense and the linebackers and so forth. So it's a perfect situation to see how he can progress. And then you make your decision, when you have the 2 number 1 picks the year afterwards, if you think you have to move up and get a quarterback.
Did he qualify how he got there? When people put a stat out and say 25th ranked, he's responsible enough to tell you what he's talking about, what metric, pass completion.
No, I think that's
overall,
just his opinion.
The rating numbers, because I don't remember him that low. He may have been. Jim?
He had him below Daniel Jones, 4 spots below Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I know the Wiz is feverishly bringing it up right now.
Yeah, he did. He had him below Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and then Trevor Lawrence 1 spot above him.
That's well, okay. That's concerning for sure.
It would appear that Chris isn't really a Eagles fan or maybe a Jalen Hurts fan here.
Well, we've definitely given him more talent, skill positions. The team, in my opinion, has addressed all their needs. I think they have such a soft schedule. I don't, Vegas is normally right, and they've upped it to 9 wins. I got to tell you, if I had to make one bet today that I thought was safe, of course, you'd like to think any bet's safe, right? That's why you make it. I just love the Eagles in the over. I mean, I've looked at the schedule again, and I just can't see how they're not at least 10 or 11.
It almost looks too easy. And that's what in the back of your mind starts, well, wait a minute. These guys in Vegas aren't wrong too often.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Yeah, and they usually nail it, but it's, you know what they're saying? They don't have the confidence in the quarterback. I think that's the bottom line.
Or the coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
or
what,
and of course, Ray's not here this week because he'd love to mention that name. If
the mustache man.
If the quarterback gets hurt, where do they go? Right?
This show would get him 2 wins. That's for you, Ray.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, let's move on to the Sixers here. Let's start with a fun fact before we dive into a little more NBA Sixers talk, really. So this came from actually one of our friends. There have only been 2 players voted top 2 in MVP voting who didn't end up making the All-NBA first team over the last 15 seasons. It was Joel Embiid in 2020-2021 season, and then Joel Embiid this season. So only person in the last 15 years, top 2 in MVP voting, who didn't make the All-NBA first team.
And, Chad, I think the problem with that is they vote a center, 2 forwards, and 2 guards. It should be the best 5 players, simple as that.
Exactly.
Where does it say you have to say, the center? So all of a sudden, Josic's number 1, Embiid's 2, or Giannis. It's
the NBA
it's
today,
an antiquated voting system.
Exactly. The NBA today is more positionless than ever. I mean, you see guys who are centers taking the ball up the court. How often did LeBron back in the day as a small forward take the ball up the court? Kevin Durant take the ball up the court.
Embiid.
Are they the point guards? Are they the forwards? You really don't have a defined position for them because they're just doing everything, even Embiid. But the All-NBA team, it's, you need 1 center. Well, it can't be Embiid then. So, yeah, it's an antiquated system. They're going to have to change it to be the top 5 best players, which naturally Embiid was in. But he didn't make it.
I was just wondering a little bit, Al. You and I are dressed the way we typically do for the podcast, and the Wiz shows up, and and
we're on video.
We got the video going today.
Listen,
how much does Embiid hurt himself every time he talks? There's no leadership. The whole culture setting with every time you love another player on our team. We never should. He did it again this week. It's irresponsible. Imagine a Schmidt talking like that about teammates or the team itself or Rose or any of your big leaders. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, he seems to hurt himself.
Let's go to it then. Let's go to the tweet during the last Celtics Heat game. I think it was during the game, towards the end or right after, Joel Embiid tweets out, Miami needs another star. Now, if you heard about this the past couple days, 90% of people, if not more, believe this was a joke, not an indication that Embiid wants to leave Philly. I think he followed that up saying, like, y'all are clowns or, something like that or after that. But saying basically it was a joke. But Howard Eskin responded to him, and not a lot of people are talking about Howard's response. Howard says, hey, bro, you need to grow up and act like a pro. Your childish, cryptic tweets are not charming or funny. Work in a circus if you want to be a clown. Not fair to Sixers fans. Following up with this tweet is ridiculous. Okay, y'all are stupid, LMAO. That's what.
Obviously, Eskin's recovered from the bike fall.
Yeah.
In spades.
Well, he hurt his hip, not his lip.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was scary last week, though. On the radio show live, and you just hear, you almost heard it, and he could have really been hurt.
Yeah.
But he's accurate, and I don't know how you build around that. I don't know how your other teammates now fuse that chemistry and culture and want to get your back and bust their tail for you, all the things it takes to have a winning clubhouse, locker room. I don't – Embiid seems like he's setting it up for either a trade. It's just he's becoming a malcontent, and that's not what you need from your franchise player. And I think it hurts systemically through everything the Sixers do.
I think Joel can have like a 3-year window here. There's big guys like that get hurt a lot and hit the floor a lot. They don't play till they're 38.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Jim's got a comment. I want to come back to Al.
Oh, yeah, sure, Jim.
Joel's a troll, and he's self-proclaimed troll. Yeah. So he loves getting the attention on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Here's my problem.
Good word, Jim. Troll.
I feel, and I don't think I'm alone, I feel like Joel would rather play with Jimmy Butler than he would play with almost every single person on the Sixers roster.
No doubt.
Even like a Maxey.
Yeah, the jury returned that verdict.
You don't feel like he loves Philly. Like it's like he likes it a lot, but could he be somewhere else? He probably wouldn't be disappointed. I don't know what the right term is necessarily. You just don't feel the leadership. I think he's a leader on the team, but I don't think he's a very good one at all.
If somebody woke up and said, we know Harden's not the meal ticket to a championship, and anybody that disagrees with that, call the show. But what the heck would you get for Embiid in a trade, Al?
Oh, you'd get a lot. But the thing is, with that number 1 pick where they can't do first-round trades till 2029,
right?
And Joel's got to be losing respect of some of his teammates.
Right.
Has to be.
Right.
And I'm sure management does. I mean, like, troll is a good word. The world's largest troll.
So, Jim,
but it's not that funny.
It's great to have you in the mix, Jim. Where's the organization go now, then?
I have no idea.
Al, where do we go from here?
Well, you got to try and sit tight, but they only have like $6 million to play with. So are they going to be able to convince maybe a $10 million player that likes the Philadelphia setup that maybe I can make a difference?
And I'll tell you what they don't have. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chad. If you can bring up the Golden State Warriors postseason stats, which I looked at a couple times, I've always said that if you don't have the guys to knock down the threes in postseason, there's been a few games where the team that didn't have the highest three-point shooting percentage won, but they were close regardless. But you had a game the other night where Dallas was 7 for 42 or something from three-point land. The Golden State, if you read the three-point shooting percentages postseason.
Klay Thompson's at 40, Jordan Poole's at 39, Curry's 38, and Wiggins is 35. Some of the big ones there.
There's 40. There's 39, 38.5, 40. You got to knock down threes, and we got the big guy, but if you can't knock down threes under unbelievable pressure defense, rotating the ball, doing what you do, ball screens, if you don't have the two guys to knock down threes, you're not winning an NBA championship. I said that 8 years ago when the process started. I'm sticking
All right, we got to move on from the Sixers here.
Al had his hand up.
No, that's one good reason. like Wiggins. Wiggins, as their third or fourth best player, has really blossomed.
Oh, yeah, he
They
has.
wanted him to be number 2 behind Karl Anthony Towns and so forth.
Right.
And a year or two ago, who's this Poole?
Yeah.
So when you got Thompson, who's finally back in stride, Curry being his normal self, when you're the third and fourth option and you're that good, that's why they're so successful.
Poole was in the deep end.
He's only 22 as well. I mean, that's pretty scary.
That's what I'm saying, but you didn't know who he was a year or two ago.
Let's rock the Phillies.
Well, okay, you want to go to the Phillies for the Flyers? All right, we'll do it. Okay, let's look at some of the Phillies numbers here. Past, season to date. Their offense remains one of the best in baseball from most statistical measures, really. But they've naturally been struggling recently. Let's dive into their pitching, though, because we got some interesting stuff on their pitching.
Before we get to pitching, can I just touch on the offense there?
Go ahead.
This has been a roller coaster offense. Feast or famine, 9 runs against Colorado, then 1 and 8. I mean, they can't seem to get a medium average of where they need to be to win. I'll say this. They're averaging 4 runs on the road. That's the first time the offense is averaged 4 runs on the road in a long while. And through this very difficult 33-game schedule they've got, and it is brutal. We talked about this a couple podcasts ago. They're 1 game under 500. I believe it's 10 and 11. Now, this continues, for another couple weeks, and the road doesn't get any easier. But if they could come out of that gauntlet, the 33-game bid, and be around 500, they have. I know I'm going to sound like a desperate diehard Phillies fan once again, but the remaining schedule is in their favor tremendously, with a bunch of games against the Nats and the likes of Pirates. I mean, it is an unbelievable break for the Phillies. And so far, they're playing 500. I didn't think the team would play 500 baseball through this 33 games, because you're talking about, the Dodgers, Atlanta away. There are a lot of away games. So far, so good.
Are you saying
now you got the Mets? Right?
That's all part of it.
And you got the Giants.
You got Milwaukee.
I really think after this, if they
Angels.
Yes, if they come up really looking horrible, for lack of better words, in these series, I think then the Joe must go thing will be.
Well, the Joe must go thing
100% instead of 95.
That stamps out. That ship has sailed. Everybody. And say what you will about Joe. And I think what he's doing with the pitcher restrictions and all that. Last night, for instance, was Nola at 108. Here's what happens. You don't let Nola try to finish a game and maybe get up to 116. You bring Knebel in, and I think he was 13 last night, Chad. He won't use him now. He may shelf him for 2 days. If you don't bring him in last night and you let Nola get up to the higher than you would like pitch count, I don't think his season comes down to 8 more pitches or 10 more pitches. And now you got the guy you want in New York. And I mean, the Dodgers did that last weekend. They brought their closer in, Kimbrel, in Friday night's game, I believe it was, where it was 4-1. And I thought, I don't think you need to bring him in right here. You won't pitch him now Sunday if you use him Saturday. They used him Saturday, and how much did they need him Sunday against the Phillies? They didn't have their closer. So you really have to be smart about when you bring the guy. I think Noel could have finished it last night, a little risky, granted, Joe. But then you got your guy, you got your closer. Now we've burned him. We'll hear him say, Knebel's not available in the Mets game. 2-1 lead, Knebel's not available. That's the story of the season.
I think the game where Nelson came in and threw a nice 8th inning, so all of a sudden you're going to go. But the mentality of a closer and an 8th inning pitcher is a whole
There's
new
problems
ballgame.
with the bullpen. What do you got on that, bud?
Well, it's terrifying when you look at the numbers with the bullpen. Just the overall ERA for the entire Phillies, starters, relievers, it's 4.05. That's 23rd in baseball. Their starter ERA is 3.84. That's 13th. Their starter strikes per 9 is 4th best. Their starter walks per 9 is the 4th best in baseball. Now, their reliever ERA is 22nd in baseball, 4.21. Now, this is fascinating. The reliever strikeouts per 9 innings is 9.87. That's 4th best in baseball. You hear that number 4 a lot. The starter strikes per 9 is 4th best. The starter walk per 9 is 4th best. The reliever K per 9 fourth best. But the reliever walks per 9. This is where the Phillies are falling apart. The reliever walks per every 9 innings is 4.90. That is the worst in baseball. And the next closest team is almost 8% lower at the Reds at 4.51. Basically, the Phillies relievers are walking guys roughly 40% higher than the MLB average. 40% higher.
Yeah, that's a killer and can't be. I mean, they're afraid to throw strikes. They can't control their stuff, don't trust their stuff, fall behind all the time, and you're putting hitters into a hitter's position, advantageous to them. Al?
It's amazing because a month or two ago, we're worried about the Phillies starters. They've been excellent. And and how psychologically does it hurt when you throw a good 6-7 innings and all of a sudden they blow a lead?
Brutal.
And I mean, Nola's record is great to see. His ERA was under 4 going into last night, so it's less now. Yeah. But the wins don't show up.
Before we close the Phillies, will Girardi be here throughout the season, yes or no?
No.
All right, we're moving on to the Flyers. That's 4 no's right there. And we're going to say Ray voted no as well because we can control that vote because he's not here. So that's 5 votes.
We feel it.
All right, the Flyers. Jim, why don't you lead us off? What do we got here? What's the head coach status? What are we thinking?
It's okay if I go to the men's room?
So the latest rumors is that John Tortorella has a legitimate shot at winning this job. The other candidates are Kirk Muller, David Quinn, Rick Tocchet, Barry Trotz, Scott Sandelin. I mean, they're doing their due diligence. They don't want to have to get another coach after this one. They want this guy to last because they've had 5 coaches since 2013.
Wow, 5 coaches.
I mean, that's insanity.
I'm hearing that, at least on WIP, they want Trotz. Is that the consensus?
I think they want Trotz. I don't know if Trotz wants them.
Right.
That's the issue because it's a rebuilding team. It's not a win-now team. Mm-hmm. So they need somebody who wants to grow with them, who's going to go through some low times and not, have their job threatened. They want somebody who's going to be.
They need patience. They need a coach with patience who can build these guys up and know that this is a 3 to 5 year process.
Ray, you're going to agree with me. Trotz and Tortorella are both very much take charge guys. They need somebody to come in and really shake things up and just see what they have there. And maybe I think you're going to see a Ben Riemsdyk go and this and that. You're going to have heart, good, but you have to have great defense. Otherwise, no goalie's going to stop all the shots, and they just have to really start over in a lot of aspects. But the coach is going to be a hands-on guy with going to command the respect of all these young players.
And if the coach isn't successful, the next coach, then the GM has to go.
It's just a merry-go-round, guys. I mean,
it's a disgrace.
But I remember, I listen. I don't follow them closely. Everybody knows that. But I remember they weren't big enough. Then they weren't big and fast. They didn't have the skill players. They didn't have the goaltending. Then they had to go back to being more physical. It's like a cycle. Now they need a tough, kick-ass coach.
They had the perfect team in 2010 without the goalie. They went out and they got Chris Pronger to solidify the defense. They had great young offense, and they had absolute garbage in goal. So they've never been able to solve that. So now apparently they've solved the goalie problem, and now they have garbage on offense and defense. So
I think what we're developing here, we don't know it, nobody's saying it yet, is a Philly hex. Think about it. Phillies have, I think, the worst aggregate record ever and can't deliver. There's 2 world championships. Eagles finally, after a 50-year void, everything falls right. All the stars and talk about things aligning right for the Eagles.
That still happened.
Still happened. Well, I knew you were going to clip me on that.
It still happened.
Okay.
Sixers, the most common fish in the sea.
Won, and we're going back to 76 for the Flyers. Add them all up. The over-under total's 8. It's a major market town. The franchises don't deliver championships. What is it?
Well, they've had two key players, and you just touched on one with Pronger. Pronger was acknowledged 6'5", 230, whatever, as the guy going to come in, and then when he got hurt with the concussions, that really hurt them bad. And before that, Lindros, and you put a bad hex with two great players that really messed things up over
generational players.
Yes, exactly. That's the word, generational.
And that's what you need. That's what you need now. You need a young generational player to build around. They don't have it.
Am I wrong in thinking I recollect like 3 years ago hearing about this bumper crop of young players the Flyers had drafted that are coming up that were unbelievable?
Yeah, it was all Hextall. Hextall drafted all these guys that everybody thought was they were fantastic, and they've all turned out to be completely
I remember
mediocre.
Al Morganti. Of course, Al, any type of Flyer excitement, and Al loses. But I remember Al Morganti saying, "You're not going to believe this. This guy and that guy." I'm listening to this one morning going, hey, they're going to be really good. I mean, Al's going off of like 7, 9 names that are all young kids that are coming up. You don't hear anything else.
Well, you took Nolan Patrick, right? Number 2 overall.
That set the team back 5 years, at least 5 years.
You know, there's no doubt the Flyers are the biggest disgrace in Philadelphia sports right now.
Absolutely.
They have been for a while.
Absolutely.
There's no change to that, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
All right.
Here goes 5 viewers.
All right, now I'm gonna take my pre-overtime here. Before we even get into a topic, I'm taking my overtime because there's something on the Phillies I wanted to hit on that we didn't quite get to before we get into our topics for today. And I'm going to go back to the old reliable Kyle Schwarber.
Time's yours.
Currently has a 194 batting average. Now, there are 21 players in baseball right now with at least 100 plate appearances that have batting averages higher than Kyle Schwarber's on-base percentage. Let me say that again. Kyle's on-base percentage is .308. There are 21 players who have batting averages higher than that. Yet Kyle Schwarber has been our leadoff guy 36% of the time this year.
Do you mean 21 in all of baseball or in the Phillies?
21 in all of baseball that have batting averages higher than Kyle Schwarber's on-base percentage.
Okay.
They're hitting higher than he's getting on base.
You flipped me there for a second. I got you. Yeah.
And he also has 58 strikeouts, which is third highest in baseball.
Well, that's what I'm focused on. And the fact that they've used him in the leadoff. I mean, I've been on the radio saying it till I'm blue in the face. Everything you look at him, assess him by, whether it's late and close, that's late and close in a baseball game, high leverage pitching, guys that can come in and throw, plus 96 miles an hour, lefty elites, leading off, 2 strikes, whether it be 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, 3, doesn't matter. All those averages are between 110 and 150, all of them in that silo. The fact that we use this guy as a leadoff hitter, and he's got great career numbers as a 4-hitter, right?
They're fantastic. They are
Put
really
him in there,
he's
leave
like a
him go.
275 hitter, great power numbers,
OPS.
930 OPS. He's a great 4-hitter. It's where he belongs. And recently, this is why Joe has to go. Hoskins has been the leadoff hitter recently. And when you look at just Segura versus Hoskins, here are all the reasons why Segura should be leadoff hitter over Hoskins.
I'm anxious to hear this.
Well, A, he's faster. He has a 297 batting average versus Hoskins 222.
Makes sense.
Segura's 350 on base versus Hoskins 300. Segura has an 800 OPS, well, just shy, versus Hoskins 716. Segura has 6 stolen bases versus Hoskins 0. All of those say, hey, put Segura in the leadoff spot. But you know why Girardi doesn't? Because Girardi is just blinded by using data or analytics, whatever you want to call it, in the wrong way. Segura has 10 walks this year, and Hoskins has 19. And because of that, Hoskins is our leadoff hitter, which is an absolute disgrace and part of the reason why the Phillies are doing as bad as they are this year, because how often does the leadoff hitter turn the lineup around with 2 outs and men on base and get out?
It's been fun, guys. Thanks. I'm going to check out of here.
No, that's why Segura can hit righties and lefties, and
exactly.
we'll all agree. Segura, Bone, Harper, and then Schwarber. How tough is that?
It's not. It's
not
really
tough,
not
Al.
that hard.
It's not
It's
tough.
not that hard.
And for him to make it so complicated, and how many different lineups we had in a number of games, I mean, what do you know? If he wants to rely on information, data, analytics, then you know where Schwarber's got to be, and you know by process of elimination who your leadoff hitter's got to be. Harper's going to be your 2. Another high batting average is going to be 3, so it could have been Bohm.
I think Harper should be 3, but you can make an argument. I think it should
we
be
won't get
Bohm
caught
2,
that
Harper
week.
3.
All right, we won't dive into the
Schwarber
week.
4.
But there you go. To plug in the next high batting average 5, look at your lefty-righty situation, of course, and build your lineup. Let these guys talk like Boa and Rose used to do all the time before knowing what the pitchers were doing, what their proclivities are, all the nuances in the game, which are a million. Let these guys get used to each other in a lineup. Heaven's sakes, Joe.
Yeah, but you're coming out every day and you don't know if you're in the lineup and where you are in the lineup. It gets in the brain a little bit.
Jim, I think Girardi's firing himself, to tell you the truth. I really do. I think
all right, we got to move on from the Phillies here. I'm sure we'll circle back. Now, our first official topic of the day here now. We're going to turn the clock off on this one here. This is some really troubling devastating situation that happened earlier this week. In light of the really awful, devastating, a million words to describe it, shooting in Texas that has unfortunately now left 19 children and 2 adults killed. Warriors coach Steve Kerr, visibly upset and really just infuriated in a pregame interview or press conference a couple days ago. He called out many U.S. senators, saying, "I ask you guys, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children, our elderly, our churchgoers?" Because that's what it looks like. I mean, he says, "I'm fed up. I've had enough. We can't get numb to this," referencing these shootings happening. "We can't sit here and read about it and say, let's have a moment of silence. Like now, we need action." Now, before we proceed further, and at the risk of anyone listening maybe discounting Kerr, just please know that his father was unfortunately shot and killed in 1984. The topic of gun control is one very personal to him, one he's been a long time advocate for. And if you see what his press conference the other day, he actually stormed off. He was just, I mean, we're all devastated by this, but
and he's not making it political.
No, what
background checks?
What Kerr is referencing is there's dozens, about 50, I think he says, senators in Washington refusing to vote on legislation for enhanced background checks. Now, Poll Research Center did a 2021 study. 87% of Americans support preventing people with mental illness from buying guns. 81% support making private gun sales and sales at gun shows subject to background checks. Now, even if passed, no one can say for sure whether that would have changed his tragedy from Tuesday from occurring. Right. But when you're looking at the entire history of mass shootings, there's no doubt this legislation saves many lives. When I saw this data earlier this week, I was so troubled by this. There have been 214 mass shootings this year in America. That's 1.5 a day. There was one in Philadelphia 2 days ago. No one probably heard about it because it's not even reported on their. I mean, it is, but there's so many per day.
How are they defining mass? Not to make
a mass shooting defined by Congressional Research Center is a multiple firearm homicide incident involving 4 or more victims.
Okay, 4 or more. Okay.
4 or more. Just this year, there have been 27 mass shootings.
That's
in 2017, there were 340. In 2021, there were close to 700. I mean, and what Kerr is referencing is something called H.R. 8.
Yeah.
It's a House bill that would expand background checks to include private gun sales and gun show sales. This measure passed the House in 2019. There's about 435 people in the House. I don't know all the rules to pass it. 8 Republicans joined, and 232 Democrats voted for it. But it didn't have a path in the Senate. It got shot down. It was reintroduced in the House and passed again with bipartisan support in 2021. And then this past December, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy tried to pass it by unanimous consent, but was blocked by the Senate. And here's what's really troubling. Currently in Texas, you can legally buy an AR-15 rifle at 18 years old.
Yeah, you got to tell me something different.
But you have to be 21 years old to buy a handgun. You can buy an AR-15 at 18, but you can't buy a handgun until 21 because that's federal law, and federal law doesn't talk about the AR-15 rifle you can buy at 18.
I think I'm a fairly bright guy. Would someone tell me why an 18-year-old would need? That's like basically like a machine gun.
There is no reason any citizen should need to own an AR-15. If soldiers from the Vietnam War have talked about AR-15s when they were really popular. I mean, they are popular, but like in the wartime, they've recounted the abilities of that gun as exploding bodies on impact. It just absolutely, it's disgusting how it shreds people apart.
Police have no chance against them.
But why should any normal citizen be allowed to have this?
It's
beyond
ludicrous.
The gun maker, who Daniel Defense posted a photo of a toddler holding one of these AR-15 rifles just before it was bought from him by the guy who went into the school in Uvalde, Texas.
And I hope our viewers, and we thank you for an expanding base each week, and we're getting great feedback. I hope you all know we're not trying to politicize this thing at all. We have a very, very staunch rule here. We're not going to do that, and we haven't done that yet. We won't. But this issue, the fact that it's not being addressed, the stuff that Chad just talked about, it's just mind-boggling in view of the increase of these mass shootings. It's disgusting. I'm with Kerr 100%. Give me a reason why an 18-year-old can get one of these,
Chuck, you wonder
weapons.
about if a young person's troubled. Are these copycat type things? My claim to fame, and they're just getting picked on in school,
no doubt
or have
they
a
are.
horrible home life.
That's what
But
the other.
yet there's so many youngsters brought up because the hunting community throughout the country with the NRA, where kids are hunting out west especially and so forth, these kids are brought up that way to be. But you just can't, well, I guess you can't say can't, but you just shouldn't be able to sell guns unless the word extensive background check. But
Hunting with an AR-15 is like fishing with a net.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
really no sport in
There's
it.
no sport. We have
There's no need.
There's no need.
No need.
No, if
And
you
when-
want to get a hunting rifle, a handgun to protect yourself, all for that. There's no reason anyone should need an AR-15. That gun is designed for one purpose and one purpose only, and it's to kill someone. That is the purpose of that gun.
And when the Constitution was written 250 years ago,
Exactly.
they had muskets.
Yeah.
They said, okay, you know what? Everybody should be able to defend
Yeah.
themselves.
Musket. Yeah, defend yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
sure. I'm all for that.
The concept of an
Absolutely.
AR-15 wasn't even around then. They could
No.
not have envisioned
The
that
concept
future.
of a handgun
Yeah.
wasn't even around, like a semi-automatic handgun.
But that's the defense these people are using to say, oh, it's our First Amendment right. Well, yeah, not an AR-15. That's not your First Amendment right. No.
But I
No,
think
that
you
gun-
go
What's
way,
the
you
hold
go
up,
way
though?
back, right?
Is it
Where the
to
right
get
to bear
political?
arms. You know,
Money.
that goes
But
way back.
get the musket. You have one now, don't you have a musket?
So I got some things musky around the house, but not muskets.
Oh boy, this is we're not making light of anything here, but boy, I'll tell you a little levity because it's just unbelievable. It's just it is mind blowing. You don't know what you can do to help other than awareness. We talk about it for that reason, awareness. That's all. Maybe once again, maybe we move the needle, immeasurably. But if more people are talking about it to do something, the greater cause, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Everybody should hear Steve Kerr's. I
Yeah.
mean, you can
Yeah.
just see it in him and everything. Everybody connected with guns or not guns should see the hurt on this
Yeah.
man's face
Yeah.
and how 100% true it was.
And his whole point, that one sentence that really hit me, we can't get numb to this. We can't get just used to this happening, going, oh, it's another one. Like, it's hearts and prayers doesn't get you very far. We need action. And hearts and prayers from the citizens and all that, but the politicians who are making these changes, they need to go further than that. But, all
Or
right.
not making the changes.
Exactly. That's the problem. So, all right, really tough topic there to start off. Again, hopefully something changes in the not too
Switch to
distant
one here,
future,
much lighter.
a much happier topic
Yep.
here. We have the famous Philadelphia, and really, I think almost around the country, Ray Didinger tribute here. He's retiring. He's 75 years old. He's retiring this week. I'll open it up to you guys here. Do you have any good Ray stories? I mean, this guy is a legend around Philadelphia. Really, more than that. What do we got?
You look at Ray Diddy, and the knowledge is off the charts and so forth. I was very surprised to find out that in 1984, he played with the Phillies Dream Week down there and here he played professionally with a team called the Philadelphia A's. I don't think he was a premier player. A good friend of mine and player Bill Nuller played on that team. And I've talked to Ray Diddy on the phone a couple times as far as Bill Nuller goes. But I was very surprised just looking at Ray Diddy, and it's not fair, but he just didn't look like he was a baseball player.
Yeah. 2 words, class act. I mean, I told him one time, I said, gee, Ray, you publish books, you make plays, commentators, sports expert. What do you do in your spare? Talk about a guy that gets a good check mark for uses time efficiently. He's always been extremely knowledgeable. He is a class act. We don't agree. I got him riled up one time on Bobby Abreu. For the obvious reasons. He said he didn't pass the eye test, but he's well researched. He's on point, and I think he's fair. I think he's always been fair. Philadelphia has embraced him. They love him. It's a giant void when a guy like that retires because they're hard shoes to fill. We're going to miss him dearly, and I think he's always when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I think I saw him cry for the first time. He keeps his emotions in check, although at times the Eagles have frustrated him where you've seen that come out. The post-game show is just unbelievable when the Eagles aren't winning. But hats off to Ray Didinger for an unbelievable career in many capacities. Just once again, I go back to just a class act. You can't say that about a lot of people. He's a class act. He really
I wonder
is.
how upset the people that sell yellow pads are going to be with They're going to be way down there. Drop a little bit.
Yeah. How different is the Eagles post game going to be now? Not having Ray's insights on there.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, he was a staple in that post game.
Yeah.
You need that voice of reason in between there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ray, you had an unbelievable career, and I'm sure we're going to see him around Philadelphia a lot. He's not going to be gone.
We're going to get him on the show. We're going to get him on the show.
That'd be so awesome.
Yep.
All right, our third topic here today. If you didn't check this game out, at least go look at the box score. It's something else. This past Tuesday, the Mets played the Giants in what may be one of the best games of the year. The Mets lost the game 13-12. It was the first loss in Mets history when they scored 12 or more runs. They lost 13-12. Their record going into this game was 180-0 when they scored 12 or more runs. The 37 combined hits were the most in any game this season, and there were 15 combined runs over the final 3 innings. I mean, it's games like this that bring back the fun in baseball.
Yeah, slow pitch softball.
It's
slow
nuts.
pitch softball. Yeah, I watched that game, and it was absolutely incredible. The plays at home plate, the throws, it was amazing. And can you imagine if Major League Baseball, now they're not going to be 13-12, obviously. Do you have the time of game? Can we get the time of game
I'll
on
look
that?
real quick.
Yeah, somebody told me I think they played under 4 hours, which still that's a long baseball game at 13-12. But can you imagine enough offense to think that every now and then you'll see that more commonly?
3 hours and 50 minutes.
I didn't know that. So
Can you imagine if every game was 3 hours and 50 minutes and 25 runs were scored combined?
Well, would the fans take 4 hours of baseball for like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
13-12, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's your 4-hour dose of Major League Baseball at higher entertainment level. Go produce 25 runs.
Yeah, go produce 25 runs in baseball. It'll be good. But listen how intense this game was. In the top of the 8th, the Mets scored 7 runs.
Yeah.
Giants come back in the bottom of the 8th, score 3. Mets come up to the top of the 9th and score a run to looks like go ahead 12-11. And then the Giants come back in the bottom of the 9th on their home field, score 2 runs. I assume there's a walk-off hit in there. I didn't see how it ended. But just an absolutely insane game.
And let's give Cap a little bit of credit.
Gabe Kaplan, you are the man. That's what I was just about to say.
We talk about what Embiid does to the locker room in terms of galvanizing, making guys want to do better. You hear players say, I want to please that coach. I play harder for him. It means your concentration is a little bit better. I'm going to win this at bat. No one's going to get me out, stuff like that. Why do these Giants come back so much at home? It's not because of a lineup at all, a bunch of 300 hitters. I mean, last year they were unbelievably resilient at home. Cap, when he was in Philly, talked about warriors and getting together in the clubhouse atmosphere and all that stuff and never quit and grinding at bats. See, exactly what they're doing in San Francisco.
And maybe he's got all the players using that oil of his. You don't know.
That culture, though, that whole like Warriors, we got this mentality, that works in California. It does. That's the mindset out there, and that sounds like a silly point.
And for younger players.
But for younger players, Philadelphia doesn't buy into that. They probably should, but it's working. And well, all I'm saying is I'd rather have Kapler than Girardi right now.
Oh, I don't think you'll have pushback anywhere in Philadelphia. Yeah.
All right, so Andy Reid, I think this was earlier this week on Jalen Hurts, had a couple brief comments. He said, this is Andy Reid, said, Jalen wants to be great, sincerely wants to do well, and then we have to hang with him. Now, if you listen to it, maybe I didn't sell it right. He was implying that Jalen's going to get there.
Yeah.
He's going to get to this level where maybe not top 5 elite quarterback. Enough to be the guy, though, to take this team deep into the playoffs at least. And what do we think? And we're, again, briefly on Jalen Hurts. Is he going to be the guy?
You got 1 year in, and you look back on his body of work in college, if you can bring it up. But I don't think you have to. I think I've got the numbers committed to memory. Oklahoma, I believe his passing percentage was 70% or 67%. He's done it at the highest level. He's got tremendous. He struggled his first year at Alabama, but he's demonstrated amongst his other quarterback competitors that at the college stage where he was better than almost everybody. Now he comes into the pro organization, and he does okay last year, not fantastic. But what did he do wrong in college not to demonstrate that he's capable of getting better each year? Do you have his college numbers by chance?
Yeah.
Listen to this stuff.
Freshman year, Alabama, 62% completion percentage. Second year, down to 60%.
Then he leaves.
Third year, he's actually Alabama. Again, didn't play much at third year, so I'll just 72%. Didn't play much. Senior year,
what was it, though, when he did play?
72%.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
72%.
Okay, thanks.
And somehow he didn't end up playing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about a factory, Alabama.
Yeah.
Then he went to Oklahoma in 2019. Probably his best year. Yeah, 70% completion percentage, 191 rating there, 11.3 yards per attempt, 32 touchdowns. I mean, the guy's got the talent.
So Reid believes in him. Gee, shocking. Yeah.
He's got wheels. He's got to get some of the nuances down of the accuracy, maybe some of the arm strength nuances, and that's what I'm hoping this 3D camp, if that's the name, can get him to that consistent level where he can be more comfortable and look like a traditional quarterback, but then fall back on his instincts, his speed, to then take him to that elite level where he can be at least a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Al?
Yeah, I think he has all the qualities, and with the offensive line where they can still do the run, and with another quality receiver, and we hope we never heard the word Rager anymore and things like that. And I believe it's easy for his teammates to say we believe in him, but I really think he has the respect of the rest of the players on his team and so forth.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important.
I'm going to take my overtime here if I can. I know we're running a little. Can you bring up Rogers' numbers?
While he's doing that, can I just say, why do we care what Andy Reid has to say? Why do we care? Why does everybody care? What if it was Joe Schmo coach out in San Diego saying it? Would it be headlines?
Well, I think Andy Reid right now is respected as the best or second best coach in football.
But he's not going to come out and say, no, you know what, Jalen Hurts
No,
sucks.
I get you on that. But he rallied behind the guy, and, a lot of people push back on everything Andy Reid has to say. But in this case, I think here's an important point. When you look at the maturation of professional quarterbacks, how difficult this game is. Oh, man, the sciences of the defenses and whatnot, even with the skill improvement, it's so hard, to become a really elite quarterback. If you look at, like, Rodgers, I may be wrong, Chad's going to go for the first time here on that. Each year from the beginning, they get better progressively. And can you give me some data on?
Yeah, I mean, look, he was always great, but he gets better. Early in his career, he was like 63, 64,
okay, that's where Hurts slow up. Hurts is that now. Okay.
Yeah,
where
in
does
the past
Rodgers
couple
go?
years, this year he was 69%. Before that, 70.7, call it 71%, which led the league.
Started at 63, I think you said. Your Honor, we rest the defense. Rest on that. Yeah. Give the guy a break. Give the guy, he's probably going to be 3 to 5 years to get to his apex.
Good point with the 3 years because Rodgers sat for 3 years behind Brett Favre.
Yeah. And what he do in college against, elite competition. Now you can look at the conference and say they don't play.
He went to California, I believe.
It's not the Citadel.
Rodgers came into the league in 2005. He didn't start a game until 2008.
Yeah.
Now, he had a different quarterback in front of him in Brett Favre. But the point is, everyone's too impatient now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You don't come in as a 23-year-old and be elite. Yeah, like Mahomes may have done that. Certain guys have done that. That's not the norm, though. And we got to just get that stigma and that expectation out of there. It's not what most guys do, and it doesn't mean we can discount Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, or go look at Carson Wentz's numbers. Will do the same thing. He jumps up to 67%. After a 61 and a 59 or something, it takes time to learn how to be great through experience in the NFL as a quarterback. Talk about a tough position in sports.
All right, so we're moving on to the NBA here. A lot of drama going on in the NBA. Really some good games, some not so good games. Celtics won a huge Game 5 Wednesday. They beat the Heat 93-80. Jimmy Butler only had 13 points. A pretty disappointing game for him overall, and really the team didn't shoot well. Now, it's looking like we're going to have a Celtics-Warriors NBA final because the Celtics are up 3-2. There's like an 82% chance they advance. Let's assume the Celtics advance here. Celtics versus the Warriors in the NBA final. I don't know about you guys. I think Golden State, no matter who's there, I think Golden State's the easy lock to win the NBA finals this year.
I would not say easy because of the way the Celtics ramp up the defense now and then. I maintain, and I think the stats bear it out, that it's impossible in the postseason when they're going 100%, man, they are going 100%, which is why I'm critical of the regular season where they don't go 100%. How do you do it game after game after game? And I think they know where they have to relax that mantra a little bit, but then go back at it the next game. So when Harden's got guys up in his grill at the three-point arc, he's going to know where to go. And then he goes to a ball screen, and the next two guys are there. Harden's thinking, this doesn't happen during the regular season. How am I going to do my step-back three? It's not available. So I think with Golden State and their three-point shooters that we talked about averaging 40%, that's the advantage over Boston. But Boston's defense, the 3 or 4 of the guys that lock you down, they look at the outcomes, look at the scores. They are unbelievable, and they can score.
Yeah. It's amazing how Golden State picks up players. I mean, a couple years back, just when you think they can't get better, who do they pick up? Kevin Durant. All right, Durant leaves.
Yeah.
A couple of years, whatever. Who do they have now? Andrew Wiggins. I mean, how do they keep getting these guys? Yeah, there's a difference between Wiggins and Durant, but they're both. I mean, one's a superstar, one's a very, very good player. They just keep getting guys though, and they just support Curry and Thompson so well, and Draymond out there.
Yeah,
the team is so balanced, and they shoot so well. They're fun to watch. They really are.
Not only that, they've done this without a big name center for years and years. Didn't need it.
Yeah.
And to go back to the Celtics, if Marcus Smart's 100% healthy and that kid Williams is back full time at center, they're going to be awful tough to beat.
Are you saying the Celtics would? Don't say awful tough to beat on this show. On this show, you take a stand.
There's two ifs about the health of those two players.
If bets. Okay. Yeah.
If Smart's not playing.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So, if they're both playing, I like the Celtics.
Let's go on record. No ifs. Al, who's going to win the NBA championship?
Celtics.
They didn't even make it.
No, but let's
I know. I'm going to say the Golden State. I already said easy. I think they're going to win easy.
Yeah. Golden State in 6, Jim?
Golden State in 6.
Huh?
All right.
Jimmy and I are talking about
All right.
it today.
That's why I wanted to be different.
Hubba, man. I got the producer.
Our
Big Mahoff.
last but not least topic of the day before we hit the rants. We got a good one here. Mike Trout versus Aaron Judge.
This is a good one.
Two naturally elite players, something we've been hearing a lot. Judge is in a contract year. He very well could get $40 million. Let's compare them. And it's funny, Judge actually was offered like a $200-something million contract by the Yankees in the offseason and said no to it. He bet on himself. And now if he keeps his performance up, he could get $40 million a year, which is absolutely insane. So here are the 2022 numbers, Trout versus Judge, as of like a day or two ago. Trout, 319 versus Judge, 313 average. Pretty close, but Trout wins. On base percentage, 420 Trout, 380 Judge. Trout wins. Slugging percentage, 670 Trout, 690 Judge. Judge wins. I'll just skip forward a little bit. OPS, WAR, OPS plus, all favor Mike Trout.
Unbelievable.
Basically, they're both having incredible years. Trout is still better, despite the fact that Aaron Judge is leading the MLB with 17 home runs. Part of Judge's weakness is that he's quite bad defensively, and he plays right field a lot. He's quite bad out there. And that really hurts you in some of the more rounded stats. But even in just the big hitting stats,
he's still not.
Trout edges him in almost all of them. He gets on base way more.
Yeah.
So career numbers, it's a joke comparing these guys. I mean, in the history books, Trout will be talked about forever as an all-time great, if not one of like a top 5, maybe even top 3, maybe even number 1 player. We don't know. Judge will never have that distinction. He never will. He's an extremely good baseball player, but Trout is a generational baseball player. And the career numbers show why. Every single category, batting average, OBP, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, WAR, everything you look at offensively favors Trout. every one. So we can move on from there. I mean,
close but no cigar.
Yeah, I could give you the numbers, but they're so imbalanced that it's a waste of time. Trout is better in every single, basically, offensive category.
Have we said that one plays in Hitters Park, Yankee Stadium, and Boyd?
Yeah, well, that's why we looked at OPS plus.
Yeah.
OPS. See, OPS plus.
Wait a minute. The Godfather just got smoked by the Wiz.
Yeah, OPS
I
plus.
brought up OPS plus the first show, and everybody said no analytic numbers because it's fans.
This isn't WIP. OPS plus measures your power, but scaled down to your ballpark.
Right.
So basically,
That's
the
true.
higher number, the better. OPS plus for Trout is a 177 for his career. OPS plus for Judge is a 154 for his career.
Great
Trout's
take.
about 25 points better there. And it really just shows Trout is the better power hitter. There's no doubt about it. I mean, even just straight up OPS. Trout's
I have
higher.
one take from that whole thing. How much of a bargain do we have with Harper?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Large.
I said that the day they signed him, everybody's, well, he's not Trout. I said, he's a couple years like Trout, but not consistently. But if this guy does become Trout-like, and he is now, he is unbelievably locked in right now. Look at what we're paying him. Now, he's got to say, now granted, he's got the certainty of having it in the next 10 years, but he's got to say $25 million when the big guys in baseball are now making 40 and then 50.
Did you happen to see the stat out this week that the Oakland Athletics total payroll is $48 million, and Scherzer's making 43.5?
Yeah, that's happened before, I think. Maybe not.
All right, it's time for the rants. So
We got Schmidt on the back, don't we?
Schmitty.
Okay, we go past.
who wants to start us off?
Go ahead.
All right, my rant would be, and I think it's something we've discussed a lot lately and so forth, with all the relief stuff and everything, and I could buy a little bit when Girardi the other night said he didn't want to bring in Alvarado because of the 5 right-handed batters in a row coming up. But when you found out later that Knievel went to him and said, I'm your closer, I'm ready to pitch, that really, to me, lost all credibility because everything's not written in stone. You have to go about the individual circumstance. Knievel could have pitched. I mean, it's easy to say, but he should have pitched that game and won that game. When Harper hit the home run to put him ahead 5-4, it was such a letdown.
Exactly. I'm going to carry forward that rant, a similar topic, and just go Phillies in general. There are too many disappointing problems with the Phillies. Number one, their lineup. I've hit on that every week. And you know what? I'm going to hit on the Phillies lineup every week until Joe's fired or the lineup is right.
Keep stealing my thunder each week.
Well, I will. The bullpen, though, is another big problem, as Coach Al just talked about. But how about Harper? How frustrating must it be to be Bryce Harper? Wow. He is stepping up every night. It's like you look at the box score, and every game it's like he has 3 hits.
Oh, man.
I mean, he is carrying this offense, and no one is helping him out. I mean,
with an injured elbow.
With an injured elbow, thank you. I mean, we are wasting these guys' year here. I mean, these years in Philly. In a couple years, it's going to be 32, 33, probably on the decline. Yeah. And we're wasting his best years of his career probably with no support, a bad lineup, a coach that won't let a guy throw more than 2 pitches in a game before taking him out. I mean, it's a disgrace what we're seeing here. Joe has to go. The lineup has to change. And Harper, just keep doing what you're doing because, my God, you're going to win another MVP if you keep it up.
I'm just going to dovetail right on in there. Thanks for opening up the gate. He is the epitome of an MVP, the quintessential MVP. He's carried over from where he left off last year. People bring up the Atlanta series where he was 0 for 12. Give me a break. His second half numbers last year were Babe Ruth-like, and he's picked it back up with an injury. The Phillies go out, and they give you Schwarber left. And, of course, they didn't expect Castellanos to play right, but, whatever. They said they were going to give Harper some nights off as DH, so you put him in there. Neither guy can play Major League Baseball defense a lick. I wish I could get this to the Phillies GM and their C-suite. How you brought in defensive liabilities. Hear me out. When last year you were 31st in baseball in defensive measurements, be it defensive runs saved, etc., you stunk last year and didn't make the plays in your zone. We got to stop looking at fielding percentage. Ozzie Smith had a bad fielding percentage. Best shortstop that ever played. Why? He got the 800 chances a year. The next great guy got the 600. So the Phillies' corner outfielders are brutal. They throw to the wrong base. They always throw home and let the runner go to second. It's just why the Phillies didn't improve themselves defensively and in the bullpen and a little bit maybe on offense. You just can't make up. You need all the elements, Al, to win.
That play the other day was a JT catching when he threw down a Segura at second. It went over Segura, past whoever's playing shortstop, somehow got by Herrera. I don't know what even happened.
That was the crowning moment.
It is
all things
the nutshell of the Phillies' defense this year. That's not even high school ball. That's like the baby bashers at 5 years old ball. That was so bad.
How about when you give up a 7-1 lead? How about when you don't throw to the right base from the outfielders? You let runners advance the trail runner to second. Next guy gets a flare single. He should be on first base. Schwarber.
It's terrible.
Yep.
All right,
Can I have a rant?
Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry, we forgot about Jim here.
My rant is Bryce Harper. The Phillies are doing everything this guy wants to do.
Yeah.
They signed JT. Remember, hitting the home run in batting practice and signed this guy. It was a mistake. He wanted Schwarber. He wanted Castellanos. Are they listening to him or are they listening to the scouts?
I know he wanted Schwarber.
That's true.
I know he wanted Castellanos. I know he wanted
Schwarber. It's fun to poke on the guy because he's been bad this year and like he should be better in the 4-hole. But right now he's doing so pathetically bad that he's not even above, and he's not even an average.
He's a rotation player.
He's a sub. He stinks
he's a rotation player. Okay, I text that to Bo. He's a rotation player.
And Castellanos isn't far behind, although I have more faith in Castellanos to bounce back than Schwarber.
Yeah, I mean it's a disgrace how they've built the team. No minor league system, and you've underscored the bullpen numbers. Yet they're playing 500 through this stretch, and if they can get through at 500, they're still in the hunt. Go figure, right? Yeah.
I'm going to save it for next week. Let's see where Stotts is by this time next week because he's dangerous approaching hitting 100.
By the way, that's Harper's guy, you know.
I know.
Yeah, like they live.
And I read the other day he only played like 78 games at AAA. And
that's another guy they have.
Kingery.
Give him time.
Harper has an affinity with him.
What does that mean?
They live close.
That's all right.
So
some of Bryce is going to feed off on the guy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to bounce back. But no, he's feeling the pressure right now.
Yeah.
I mean, your heart bleeds for the guy. You just want him to hit a double in the gap and get that pressure off his shoulders.
What did Boa tell us last year up at Huntington Valley when he was sitting in the car? What did he say about South?
I don't remember.
Not ready.
Not ready? Yeah,
ready.
Bo called that one for sure.
That one. So far, called that one.
All right.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, hey, if you're listening to us, whatever time you're listening to it, hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend.
Wedding this weekend?
My sister's getting married, or my dad's here. Our sister Lauren is not our sister. No, I think you guys know what I'm saying here.
My daughter.
we got a nice wedding coming up this
Good
weekend.
Guy.
It's gonna
She's
be a fun time.
The Barcy family.
Yep, we got. Hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend. Check us out on Twitter. Subscribe to the podcast if you don't, because I want to make sure we get that. We are Speaking of Sports Podcast. Email us, speakingofsportspod@gmail. Our website, speakingofsportspod.com. Reach out to us any way you want. We are here.
Again, 609-828-5569. I had two fans call me, get a hold of me last week, and we've developed a nice thing. And I thank you, Mark, for that very much, and a couple others. So don't be shy. Get a hold of us. You can call in, be on the show. Express your opinion. We'd love to have you.
Hey, we want to hear from the fans. So if you reach out to Chuck, there's a good chance he's definitely going to get back to you, and there's a good chance you're going to get some dialogue going on. And we want to get you guys on the show. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you want to see, change, what you like, don't like, all of it. So, hey, reach out. Let's hear from you guys. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day. And
let me say one thing, Chad. Great job. And Ray, don't forget when George Gipp went out of the lineup, Mr. Gehrig replaced him for a long time. Just thought I'd throw that out. I hope your truck and you are having a wonderful day.
Pip, George Gipp, what was it?
Enjoy your snorkeling, Ray. We missed you today, buddy.
That's a wrap.